U.S. economy when they're doing all these bad things to us.
While Donald Trump is in power.
Never before has the world turned its back on American goods quite like this. From Canada to Mexico, across Europe, and into the heart of Asia, a quiet but powerful movement is building. Local businesses are pushing buy local policies. Governments are tightening import rules, and the message is spreading, maybe it's time to move on from American brands. In the middle of this storm, U.S. companies are paying the price, not politicians, not diplomats, but storefronts, employees, entire industries, iconic coffee chains, tech giants, e-commerce titans. Names once seen as unstoppable are now closing doors. Sales are plummeting, stocks are crashing, and what used to be symbols of American success are now cautionary tales. In today's Septi's video, we'll uncover 5 American companies collapsing fastest, brought down not by competitors, but by global rejection. This isn't just their story. It's a warning, because the next ones affected could be you or your children. Tesla. For years, Tesla wasn't just a car, it was a movement. The badge meant cutting-edge tech, clean energy, and visionary thinking. It was the dream of every tech enthusiast and forward thinker. But that dream? It's starting to crack. Today, Tesla faces a perfect storm from the political arena, from an evolving market, and perhaps most critically, from within. And in Canada, a country that once embraced Tesla with open arms, the shift is palpable. Once loyal Tesla customers, especially those who lean liberal or politically neutral, are now turning away, citing one name, Elon Musk. In Ottawa, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has proposed a 100% tax on Tesla vehicles, reflecting growing political pressure. Meanwhile, the Canadian government is promoting EVs like the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Volkswagen ID, 4 foreign brands that feel less politically charged. Tesla's sales in Canada dropped more than 15% last quarter, prompting the company to scramble on pricing and incentives. And it's not just Canada. In Germany, activists projected controversial images of Musk onto a Tesla factory wall. In China, once Tesla SIP's crown jewel, government scrutiny over data security and national interests has made consumers wary. Domestic EV brands like BYD, NIO, and XPeng are surging ahead, offering similar innovation at more accessible prices. There's no denying Musk built Tesla into a powerhouse. But now that personal brand might be doing more harm than good. Every tweet, every controversial appearance, every polarizing stance, it chips away at Tesla's global credibility. According to auto journalist Matt Stair, Tesla's challenges aren't just about politics. The lineup is aging. The competition is catching up fast. Consumers now have more EV choices than ever. And Tesla's head start is shrinking by the quarter. Inside the company, tension is mounting. Dealers report shrinking commissions. Some employees quietly fear layoffs. Stock is down. Morale is shaky. Last week, Musk live-streamed an all-hands meeting to calm the nerves. Sometimes there are difficult periods, stormy weather, but the future is still extremely bright and exciting, so hold on to your stocks tightly. But optimism alone may not be enough. Yes, the stock could bounce back, but trust with customers, with governments, with global partners, that's harder to repair. Tesla now faces a pivotal choice: double down on personality or recenter the brand on what once made it great: innovation, sustainability, and experience. Because the question isn't just, can Tesla survive? It's, can Tesla evolve? And perhaps more importantly, can it do so without Elon Musk at the wheel? Walmart. If there's one name that's long seemed untouchable in retail, it sets Walmart. For more than 60 years, the company has been a fixture of American life. Its sprawling aisles, low prices, and blue vests became part of the national identity. And when Walmart crossed the northern border, it did more than just open stores, it became a household name in Canada too. But now, in a country where it once reigned supreme, Walmart is quietly being pushed out. And it's not because of pricing, it's not a question of quality. It's about something deeper, more personal: pride, loyalty, identity. It started with rising trade tensions between the U.S. and Canada. Words from politicians turned into policies, and soon a wave of economic nationalism swept through Canadian neighborhoods. The message was simple: buy Canadian, and many did. Patriotism, once a quiet undertone, became a loud retail reality. Chains like Loblaws, Metro, and small hometown grocers like Victory Meat and Produce Market began to flourish, while Walmart saw a steady decline. A simple sticker reading "Made in Canada" became more powerful than any sale sign. At PA Supermarket, shoppers walked the aisles with purpose. They flipped packages over, squinting at labels, rejecting anything marked "Product of USA." Even if it sets just a bag of miniature carrots, I check. One woman says, check the package. Every time. This isn't just protest, it's personal sacrifice. Because Canadian shoppers know some products are hard to replace. That box of cereal, that familiar bottle of Tropicana, those strawberries in February. Still, many are choosing to go without. We can live without the U.S. stuff. Another shopper says, I don't need the strawberries, you know what I mean? The impact has been swift and brutal. Walmart Canada's revenue is down over 8% year over year. Domestic rivals are surging ahead with double-digit growth. 10 Walmart locations in Ontario and British Columbia have already closed their doors. Hundreds of employees gone. But the ripple doesn't stop at the border. As Walmart loses Canadian market share, the pain reaches its American core. To cushion the losses, the company raises prices in the U.S., tightening the squeeze on low-income shoppers back home. Meanwhile, U.S.-based suppliers who once stocked Walmart shelves in Canada are now sitting on unsold inventory, watching their margins evaporate. How does a retail titan lose an entire country's trust almost overnight? And if Walmart can keep Canada, what does that say about its ability to hold ground in the rest of the world? This isn't set a momentary dip in sales. It sets a shift in values, a quiet, resolute rejection, not shouted in protests but whispered with wallets. And the question Walmart must now face is bigger than any earnings report. Can it reconnect with the very customers it took for granted? It can drop prices, slash margins, beef up e-commerce, maybe even copy Amazon's playbook. But what happens when the real problem isn't convenience or cost, it's belief? Because the game has changed. The aisles may still be wide, the shelves still stocked, but if the heart of the customer walks away, all that square footage means nothing. And if Walmart doesn't really adapt, this isn't just a Canadian story. It's the beginning of a much larger unraveling. Amazon, the global e-commerce titan that once seemed invincible, is facing a reckoning in one of its most stable markets, Canada. For years, Amazon dominated cross-border trade, offering Canadians convenience, speed, and prices that were hard to beat. From groceries to gadgets, it became a household staple. But today, that dominance is eroding, not due to a single misstep, but from a perfect storm of political pushback, shifting consumer values, and internal unrest. Canada's growing buy local movement has hit Amazon where it hurts: public perception and profit. With tensions rising between Ottawa and Washington, the Canadian government has rolled out new digital services taxes aimed squarely at American tech giants, including Amazon. This policy doesn't just cut into profits. It forces Amazon to pay more into the Canadian economy while homegrown platforms like Shopify benefit from favorable treatment. The result? Price hikes. That same phone, pair of jeans, or kitchen blender now costs more on Amazon than it did a year ago. And Canadian consumers are noticing. Subscriptions are being canceled. Carts are left abandoned. Many are making the switch to alternative platforms, not just local options, but also international players like Temu, a Chinese e-commerce site gaining popularity for its rock-bottom prices. To support this new wave of conscious consumerism, Canada has seen a rise in platforms designed to spotlight domestic goods. Apps like BuyBeaver and Maples can help users avoid American imports. Websites like Made in CA offer curated catalogs of Canadian-made products, and traffic is booming. But Amazon's challenges go deeper than taxes or market shifts. Inside its warehouses, the situation is boiling over. Reports from both Canadian and U.S. facilities paint a grim picture, workers monitored by the second, walking up to 27 miles a day with barely a 10-minute break. Bathroom time is clocked. Conversations are discouraged. Violating the rules 3 times can mean instant termination. Last month, over 200 workers at an Ontario fulfillment center walked out demanding higher pay and humane conditions. Supported by the Canadian union Unifor, they're not just asking for fair wages, they're demanding respect. The fallout: damaged reputation, delayed shipments, and growing consumer distrust. For many Canadians, it's no longer just about fast delivery, it's about where their money goes and what it supports. Small businesses are benefiting from this shift. Customers are turning to local shops and startups where ethics, transparency, and community still matter. And Amazon, for the first time in years, is feeling the squeeze. To survive, Amazon must evolve. That means reevaluating its pricing strategies, treating workers with dignity, and building genuine partnerships within Canada. It's not just about staying competitive anymore, it's about rebuilding trust. So can Amazon weather this storm and reclaim its foothold in Canada? Or is this the beginning of a larger unraveling, one where consumers rewrite the rules of global commerce? Only time and Amazon SIP's next move will tell. Starbucks used to be everywhere. A green mermaid on every corner of Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal, a symbol of global cool and corporate consistency. But now, even this coffee giant is struggling to hold its ground in a market that once welcomed it with open arms. For years, Starbucks reigned as a favorite among Canadian consumers. The brand SIP's warm ambiance, customizable drinks, and familiar branding helped it build an empire north of the border. But as political tensions between the U.S. and Canada simmer, and as consumer habits shift, that empire is showing cracks. One by one, Starbucks locations are vanishing, replaced not by other chains, but by local cafes with a distinctly Canadian identity. Take the Broadway Strip in Vancouver. What used to be a bustling Starbucks is now a charming local shop with wood-paneled walls and pastries sourced from nearby bakeries. Tim Hortons and other domestic brands have stepped up their game. They rolled out aggressive ad campaigns highlighting their Canadian roots, slashing prices and offering promotions that Starbucks can compete with. In a time when every dollar matters, nostalgia and nationalism are winning the coffee war. Let's talk numbers. A Starbucks latte can easily cost $5 to $6 USD. That's $7 to $8 Canadian. Meanwhile, a cup of coffee at Tim Hortons hovers around $2 CAD. With inflation squeezing wallets and housing costs soaring, Starbucks has quietly moved from treat to unnecessary luxury. According to a report from Statistics Canada, 80% of Canadian consumers have reduced spending on non-essentials, and yes, fancy coffee is near the top of that list. But the storm isn't just outside the company. Inside, Starbucks is facing another crisis: labor unrest. Baristas and shift supervisors across North America are organizing, striking, and walking out. The message is clear. They stir tired of low pay, long hours, and unstable schedules. In response, Starbucks launched a restructuring initiative titled Back to Starbucks, but it reads more like a retreat. Over 1,100 layoffs, a 30% reduction in menu items, and looming price increases to offset losses. For some employees, the restructuring came with no warning, just a final shift and a pink slip. The damage goes beyond revenue charts. The brand's image, once seen as aspirational and progressive, is taking hits from every angle, from union protests to boycott campaigns. In a market that now values transparency, fairness, and local pride, Starbucks feels increasingly out of touch. So what's next? Can Starbucks reinvent itself in Canada, or will it quietly fade, one storefront at a time, like so many other American brands caught in the crossfire of rising nationalism, economic uncertainty, and social accountability? The answer may depend less on coffee quality and more on whether Starbucks can learn to listen to its customers, to its workers, and to the changing heartbeat of the market it once ruled. Carnival Corp. For decades, the United States was a second home to Canadian travelers. Whether it was the sunny beaches of Florida, the dazzling lights of Las Vegas, or the towering coasters of Disneyland, millions of Canadians cross the border each year, not just for fun but for tradition. But that tradition is starting to unravel. Last year alone, over 20 million Canadians visited the U.S., making them the country's top international tourists. Yet the U.S. Travel Association is now sounding the alarm. If Canadian tourism dips by just 10%, the American economy could lose over $2.1 billion. And that scenario is no longer hypothetical. It's already underway. Major companies in the travel sector are feeling the squeeze, and one of the hardest hit is Carnival Corp., the heavyweight of the cruise industry. Once a top choice for Canadian travelers, Carnival is now sailing into stormy waters. Rising operating costs, shifting public sentiment, and a drop in Canadian bookings are chipping away at the company's bottom line. And the backlash isn't limited to consumer choices. Canadian ports in Vancouver, Halifax, and Quebec are quietly pulling back from partnerships with American cruise operators, redirecting business toward European and Asian companies instead. Fueling the shift is a growing wave of anti-American sentiment online. Across Canadian social media platforms, hashtags urging citizens to boycott U.S. vacations are spreading rapidly. The message is clear: support home, not hostility. Some Canadians are going even further, pledging not to cross the border at all, not just for this year. The tourism industry is uniquely sensitive to political tides, and the ripples from Washington are now forming waves in Ottawa, Vancouver, and Quebec City. Carnival, once a symbol of carefree luxury, now finds itself entangled in trade wars and political fallout. When Trump rolled out tariffs on Canadian aluminum and lumber, the Canadian government quietly pulled back support for U.S.-based tourism firms. In retaliation? Not quite. More like self-preservation. The people paying the price? Cruise staff, hotel clerks, flight attendants, port workers, and tour guides, many of whom had nothing to do with trade policies, but now find themselves on unstable ground. Even small states like New Hampshire, long reliant on cross-border tourism, are starting to panic. Hampton Beach, a summer hotspot for Quebec tourists, may be eerily quiet this season. The state spends about $1 million a year on tourism ads targeted at Canadians, but recent surveys show that nearly 50% of planned trips have been canceled due to tariff concerns and political tension. It's not just about economics anymore. It's about identity, loyalty, and national pride. And while American travel companies like Carnival scramble to pivot, expanding their routes to Asia, South America, or the Mediterranean, there sits a lingering fear that something more fundamental has shifted. Because when a country like Canada, known for its quiet diplomacy and steady friendship, starts walking away from your ports and your theme parks, it might be time to stop asking how to win them back and start asking why they left in the first place. What's happening to Tesla, Amazon, Starbucks, and other major U.S. giants isn't just about sales figures or corporate strategy. It's a reflection of a deeper shift, a world that is beginning to move on from American dominance. The fallout from political tension isn't states staying behind closed doors in diplomatic meetings anymore. It's states spilling into shopping carts, flight bookings, and coffee orders. And for businesses that once saw the world as their marketplace, that sips a hard truth to face. Canada, long one of America's most trusted allies and largest trading partners, is now rethinking its loyalties and its spending. This isn't about anger, it's about adaptation. Consumers are turning local, governments are choosing self-reliance, and emerging businesses from Canada to China are more than ready to take the place once occupied by American brands. So the question now isn't whether American corporations are in trouble. The real question is this just a temporary setback, or the beginning of a long, painful decline? And stay relevant in a world that no longer needs them the way it once did? Or will the golden age of American brand supremacy quietly fade into the rearview mirror? We want to hear your thoughts. Is this global boycott movement a passing trend, or a sign of a deeper change in how the world views American influence? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and if you haven't yet already, hit that subscribe button for more in-depth breakdowns of the economic shifts, political ripple effects, and cultural movements shaping our world. This content is for informational and analytical purposes only and should not be considered financial or political advice. We encourage respectful discussion. Your perspective matters.